Rob, what'd you have for breakfast, mate?
I had a wrap which consisted of 2 boiled eggs, some cherry tomatoes, and some hot sauce. I thought I had avocado, but we ate it the night before.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did you make that at home?
Yeah, I did.
That's nice. That's, cafe stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've figured out the timing of putting my eggs onto boil, jumping into the shower, getting out, and they're ready to go.
You got a system. Jesus. Yep. I'm feeling really exposed right now because I don't have a system.
Okay. I'm
like every day is a mystery and a bit of a shanking, if I'm honest. Like kids get toast. I don't know what I'm doing. Wife's in the, getting ready in the shower, and I'm at sea. I don't know what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, a lot of it does rely on the patience of a 2-year-old. And if I can go, hey, play with this truck for the next 6 minutes and don't move, then we're on.
Then we're right. I mean, it's one of those things that, it's universal. Everybody has to have something in their tummy, but I don't know. It's different for everyone. And I actually asked that question a weirdly huge amount. What did you have for breakfast? When someone's nervous in front of a microphone or a camera, it's kind of the first thing I ask. And I do it for 2 reasons. First, I need to check the audio levels. And second, it kind of helps distract them and get them out of their head, I find. And it kind of works, stops their thought process dead. And it sort of reminds them that it's just a chat, nothing to worry about. This is if they're on TV or radio. And when I ask people that question, I cannot tell you how many times the answer comes back, cornflakes. It's absolutely still a thing. I've never really been a cornflakes guy, but Rob, today, I'm ready.
Ready to go.
I'm ready.
Ready to go.
Ready. We're both absolutely in.
Yep.
We're ready. We've got the cornflakes. You're going to hear crunching as we go. We don't want any scary masturbation mishaps.
Yeah, this is just some Atmos sounds for everyone, just the shaking of cornflakes.
I think that's important. Yep. Every so often, if you could just rattle that.
Yep.
According to Howard Markel's book, the Kellogg's, the battling brothers of Battle Creek, 350 million bowls of cornflakes are eaten every single day. And almost none of the people eating them know anything about how it started. Today, I get to tell you, which is so exciting because it's such a crazy story. It involves a deeply religious doctor who wanted people to stop masturbating, a health retreat that routinely prescribed yogurt enemas, among other things. One of the first times we saw health marketing used at a really industrial scale, and the invention of mass-produced, cheap, easy-to-prepare food. And Rob, I reckon people have stopped listening because they're stuck on the masturbation and yogurt stuff.
Yeah. Somewhere in the world, Chris, someone has sat down to listen to this podcast and they were probably eating some yogurt and they've now stopped. They're looking at the yogurt. They're rethinking their life. Hopefully no one's having a wank right now, but the yogurt, very plausible.
I don't know. I don't know what people are into. Hopefully they're not, because that's not on theme for this episode.
No.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Just know, we're not talking about this story only because it's weird. We're talking about it because it explains something enormous about the modern economy, specifically the way health is marketed and sold to us. Kellogg's, it doesn't really sit at the center of that world anymore. It kind of became a very conventional and pretty unhealthy food company a long time ago. But when you understand what Kellogg's did, you understand that whole space better. And it all starts with a man named John Harvey Kellogg, born in Michigan, 1852. He's the one who becomes probably the world's most vocal anti-wanker. Rob, I've been looking forward to this episode for ages.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot about you, Chris, just from this intro. But I think it is worth pointing out to our foreign listeners that the term wanking is a slang term for masturbation here in Australia, UK, New Zealand. For our US friends, you might say jerking off or jacking off.
This is important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get the terms down.
Correct.
Jerking. You might even hear some of this sort of stuff entering this.
Entering the lingo, yeah. So it's important that everyone understands what we're speaking about here.
I can't wait to get into this story, but we've got to hear from some of our sponsors first.
Okay.
Before we get into it, a quick word from our partners at IG Trading. If you've ever looked at your shared trading statement and gone, hang on, how much did I just pay in fees? Yeah, that's how they get you. Brokers have been quietly taking their cut for decades, and most of us just accepted it as the cost of investing. Well, it isn't. And after 50 years in the market, IG Trading knows exactly what that cut has been costing you. So IG now offers $0 commission on Australian and international shares. No caps, no tiers, no surprises, just a 0.7% FX fee for international trades, made very clear from the outset. Search IG Trading or download the IG Trading app from the App Store. Trading involves risk to your capital. IG Australia Pty Ltd AFSL 515106. Finding the right home loan isn't easy. Most of us end up with 47 browser tabs open and still no idea what comparison rate actually means. But when you start with Mortgage Choice, you get more. For starters, you get more choice. They help you compare market-leading rates from over 35 lenders. And with more than 1,000 brokers Australia-wide, expert help is never far away. To get more from your home loan, choose Mortgage Choice. Talk to your local Mortgage Choice broker today. First things first, 2 truths and a lie. Kellogg's edition. I'm going to give you 3 facts. 2 are real, 1 isn't. See which one of them you think is the lie now, and then see if you change your mind by the end. Okay, fact number 1, or lie number 1. John Harvey Kellogg reportedly spent his wedding night writing an essay about the dangers of sex on his wedding night.
What a buzzkill.
What an absolute way to spend your wedding night, if it's true.
If it's true. And like, you think about this is definitely an era where premarital sex was probably frowned upon.
Very much
so. You can imagine for this young woman, this lady, that tonight's the big night, and it's like, oh, John, let's do it. He's like, no, I'm busy.
No,
I'm in my study. I'm working.
Post-marital sex. No, I got to write this essay. This isn't going to write itself.
This is not the right time for this.
Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, John Harvey Kellogg believed a healthy human should produce 4 to 5 odorless bowel movements per day.
Can you tell this to my son, please?
4 to 5 is right. Odorless, not so right.
No.
Okay. Lie or truth number 3. John Harvey Kellogg died in poverty, having lost the rights to the Kellogg name in court. Interesting. Keep those in mind. What do you reckon, Rob?
I really don't know. And I'll say that we're episode 3 now. The first 2 episodes, I had a bit of an idea already. I'm in the complete darkness with this one. I have absolutely no idea. I feel really bad for number 3, so I hope that didn't happen for him. I think 1 is just hilarious, but 2 seems like, okay, maybe there's some sort of, pseudoscience logic going on here. So I'm going to pick number 2 today.
Right. Okay. He's a doctor in the mid-19th century. Maybe that's plausible. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited because this gives you a bit of an idea about how wacky this story can get.
Yeah.
Because there's some true stuff in there. Here we go. The whole thing starts in a town called Battle Creek in Michigan in the 1860s. It's a flat Midwestern town, and it's really only famous, pretty much, I don't want to offend anyone from Battle Creek, but it's kind of really only famous today for being the birthplace of Kellogg's. And that was really a consequence of a very specific religious movement. John Harvey Kellogg, and I'm calling him John Harvey a lot here because it seems like half the people in this massive family are called John. His parents were early members of a new church called the Seventh-day Adventists, which is still a huge global church with about 25 million people in it, Rob. It's big.
It is big. Would you like to know a fun fact about the Seventh-day Adventist Church? So I had a little look at this in preparation for the episode today. And as you do, where do you start any good research? You start at Wikipedia.
100%.
Scroll down. Now, the president of the Seventh-day Adventists, would you like to know what his name is?
Yes.
His name is Urton Kohler.
No.
He has the umlaut on the
Oh,
on
he
the
does.
O.
We lost the umlaut years ago.
So
Urton.
Long lost relation, Chris.
Look at this guy.
We could hit him up. He could come on the show.
Let's get it. No, he's a friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely flummoxed. I didn't know that you were going to hit me with that. Urton Carlos.
Yeah, Urton Carlos Kohler.
Urton Carlos Kohler.
Episode is dedicated to you, my friend.
This one goes out to you, Urton. And I hope I don't offend you too much, but because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a really quick and nasty, here's what the Seventh-day Adventist Church is all about. It's built around the second coming of Jesus, and a lot of the guidelines around clean living and purity of lifestyle in religion, they're really baked into this one. It actually grew out of an unsuccessful religious movement. The previous version was led by a guy named William Miller, and he predicted that Jesus would return to earth on October 22, 1844, which is super specific. And spoiler, he didn't return. The event is literally known as the Great Disappointment. So, they learned their lessons. The Seventh-day Adventists came along a few years later. They believed that Jesus would return, but they just didn't put a specific date on it this time, which, they learned. That's smart. So the basic idea was be on your best behavior at all times because you don't know when Jesus is coming back.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. They had some other ideas too. The name itself, Seventh Day, because they believed that Saturday was the Sabbath, not Sunday. They were very anti-alcohol, they were anti-tobacco, they were pro-vegetarian, and they held a belief that set them apart from most other churches at the time. That was physical health is a spiritual responsibility. And that last one is really key to this story. The leader of the church was Ellen G. White, and in 1866, she decides that she wants to open something called the Western Health Reform Institute in Battle Creek as a way to combine the religious and the health messages. And by all accounts, it was a bit of a disaster. It was like a big hospital. It's kind of a health retreat type of combination, but it was maybe a bit underfunded. It was pretty empty. It was losing money. It was a bit preachy. Massive building though. Unfortunately, there were kind of probably only about 20 or so patients rattling around inside it at any given time, so it wasn't doing well. But Ellen White wanted it to succeed, so she started looking for someone to run it better. And she picked this young guy named John Harvey Kellogg. As for why him? Well, by all accounts, he was pretty impressive. He was confident and he was doing quite well as a kid in the church. And he did well to stand out at all because his father, John Preston Kellogg, had 5 kids with his first wife and 11 kids with his second. And John Harvey was just one of those, part of this massive family. And they were reusing names all over the place. 2 of his siblings died young, Emma and Preston, and they just kind of gave those names to future siblings, which seems like it lacks a bit of sentimentality, Rob.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I think for us in modern Western society, where we obviously do place such a high value on life, this is pretty harsh, but this is probably a time where contraception probably doesn't really exist, or if not much, and infant mortality might be quite high. So, when you're having families this young, it's like, well, I only know a dozen names anyway. So
16 kids,
yeah.
Maybe you got to start reusing names. I mean, His name is John Preston Kellogg.
Yeah.
He's naming kids John and Preston like crazy. He's just saying, here are the names that are on the shelf.
Well, look, it's better than George Foreman, who has, I think, half a dozen sons who are all called George. So, as you do.
As you do. It's a good name. Anyway, John, he was a clear standout, and Ellen White was apparently, quote, impressed by his intellect, spirit, and drive. He was in his early teens when she gave him a job as a printing apprentice so that he could help make the Seventh-day Adventist literature. And by the age of 16, he was already editing the church's monthly magazine. Now, Ellen decided to invest more in him at this age, so she plucked him out of there and she started funding his medical training. He finished all that at the age of 24 and he was immediately appointed superintendent of that health reform, the Reform Institute, in 1876 at 24, which, I mean, I don't know, that is impressive. At 24, I was totally incapable of leading or doing much of anything.
Yeah, I wasn't doing much. I was backpacking in South America, just trying to find myself,
Of course you were. That's good.
Yeah.
And did you find yourself?
I found beers everywhere. It was weird. I don't know. Every town I turned up in, they're like cerveza. And I was like,
look, if you guys are offering.
Yeah, I'm here.
24-year-old me says, yeah.
Absolutely. Why not?
There you go. So, for him, though, the pressure was on to turn this whole thing around. And it's kind of exactly what he does. He is really, really good at it. The building is 5 stories tall. It's incredible. And he wants renovations and extensions straight away. And he convinces the church to fund upgrades. And pretty soon, it's even better than it was. Wraparound verandas, different suites for different things like hydrotherapy. Apparently, he had 50 different types of baths. Every room had hot and cold water and gas lighting, which is kind of not bad for the late 19th century. So word starts to get out and people start coming in much bigger numbers. And that lets Kellogg keep on improving it. He also paid staff minimum wages in exchange for board and food, which, that's pretty rough, but it kept his costs down. After a while, he brought in his brother too, Will Keith Kellogg, as his assistant, also paid him peanuts and worked him really hard. In fact, there are reports that he worked for 7 years without a break, other than the Sabbath, of course.
Keith Kellogg would be a really good name for a mascot. Like, all the other Kellogg cereals, they have like a tiger or a toucan or something, but they should have one that has Keith Kellogg and he's just like a guy, middle management, who has some fiber problems.
Yeah, and wears a bow tie or something.
Perfect.
Totally.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the cockerel on the Kellogg's box right there Cornelius.
Cornelius the Cornflake.
I reckon Keith. I think you're right.
Yeah, let's rename it
Keith
Keith.
the Cockerel of Cornflakes fame.
We'll do more cornflake sounds for the audio-only people. There you go.
There you go. We're not skimping here. By the mid-1880s, this place is amazing. It's got electric lights. It's got light baths, whatever they are. I suppose you sit there and you get bathed in electric light, which, might make you feel good, I suppose. A new 6-story swanky patient wing. Then he brought in a nursery so that patients could bring their kids if they needed to. And all of this is about health. But because it wasn't cheap, it became about serving wealthy people who wanted to look, feel, and sort of be better and live longer. Which, there's still plenty of places around that do exactly that. This is just one of the kind of early examples. They built massive laboratories so that they could analyze the bodily fluids of the patients, which is kind of gross, but people were really into this. And by the 1920s, everything had pretty much changed from those early initial days, including the name. It's now called the Battle Creek Sanitarium, known to everyone simply as the San. Celebrities and wealthy people are now starting to come in pretty big numbers. The San had more than 1,000 patients at any given time, hundreds of staff. It hosted some of the most prominent names in American life. They're all coming to Battle Creek now. Industrialists, politicians, generals, celebrities. Henry Ford went there. John D. Rockefeller, President William Howard Taft, Amelia Earhart. They're all going to this place. As for what a day at the San actually looked like, well, early wake up, exercise sessions. This is the type of thing where people are wearing their normal clothes and doing, the movements. Rob, do you remember, this is a specific reference, but do you remember in The Simpsons when Mr. Burns leads that calisthenics routine?
Yeah.
Like one high,
yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's the thing to think about. If someone listening to this has that in their mind, then they're bang on the money.
Yeah.
Then you move on, you do your medical checkups, lectures on moral living, strict vegetarian meals, obviously no alcohol, smoking or meat, no stimulating foods. We'll get to that one in a moment. Maybe some yogurt up the arse, early to bed.
This is the second time you've spoken about yogurt up the arse. What's going on here? What's going on?
I am going to have to explain that eventually, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is weirdly a thing. And I should back up. Yogurt up the arse. I mean that in the very literal sense. One of Kellogg's core theories was that gut health was central to overall well-being. Now, this is worth saying. Modern medicine does actually take gut health pretty seriously. People know that. Kellogg, he's just really early and really enthusiastic about this. I want to read from page 180 of the book, The Kellogg's, The Battling Brothers from Battle Creek for a second. Just bear with me. Down the hall from the bathrooms was the Sands Sanctum Sanctorium, the enema room, stuffed with gleaming enema machines that could pointedly deliver 15 quarts of water per minute into a human colon. Dr. Kellogg advised his patients to produce 4 or more bowel movements a day, just like the healthy apes he observed while visiting the zoos in Chicago, Detroit, and New York. It's getting weirder by the second. If the water enemas were not enough, brackets, a ritual he was said to engage in every morning, John ordered his patients to consume a pint of yogurt each day, followed by a yogurt enema. Also a pint.
So if 15 litres a minute of water up the arse isn't enough, then we'll get the yogurt out and see how we go.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, because I Googled this. That was the first thing I did, is how much is 15 quarts, just quietly? And 15 quarts is a lot. I looked it up, and 15 quarts a minute is effectively like a garden hose switched to the nozzle of jet mode.
Oh my God.
Huge, because I checked, and modern enemas, they're like 1 to 2 quarts of warm water gently massaged through the colon. You're getting absolutely blasted if you're in the sand.
Don't try this at home.
Absolutely not. I mean, he's doing it every morning and he's prescribing it like it's normal. And then the second thing, the yogurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've been smashed by water. Smashed.
Yeah.
And then they go, right, here we go. It's not working. We just got this bag of a pint of yogurt and just hold still.
Yeah.
Squelch.
Yeah. Greek yogurt or
probiotic.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. You're walking down the corridors of the San and you walk past the sanctorum or whatever it's called, and somebody squelches and squiggles their way out of that room.
Yeah. I'm also imagining everyone walking around like it looks like they've sat in something. They've all just got wet butts because I'm assuming that like this water doesn't come out very quickly. Like I assume it might drip out throughout the day.
Just a wild thing. Like I think the thing for me is that a lot of people know about the masturbation element of the Kellogg story. I would wager that no one knows how much yogurt was going up people's asses in this place at this time.
Hey, you think you know about cornflakes? Well, let me tell you something, buddy.
Yeah, you eating your cornflakes with yogurt?
Yeah.
Well, hey.
It's yeah, God, I'm just having visions of people I know doing that. It's funny how close he is to being like really bang on with some of this stuff though, because like you said, gut health is important.
Yep.
He understood that gut health was important and he'd picked a few things that actually aren't good for you, but then he's tied it in with, hey, do you want to put this up your ass? And that should make you feel better.
Maybe I'm being too judgmental here. Maybe it's time to try a yogurt enema.
Yeah.
And see if it works.
He's really the Pete Evans of this story, which our international viewers and listeners won't understand, but
yeah. That's the sort of thing you could see coming from Pete.
Yeah.
No shade to Pete, but yeah, that's wild. Now, is this unusual? Yeah. Is it influential? Also, yes. I mean, maybe this is what you need to get people talking. Imagine hearing from a friend who's just been there, walking really funny. You okay? Yeah, I just got the equivalent of a fire hose up the clacker. Now I feel great though.
Yeah.
You know.
Ready to start my day.
Ready to start my day. I mean, you might want to check it out. It had cut through because what Kellogg was really doing was not just treating patients. He was selling a whole system of health. At its core, it's still a religious thing. Kellogg has found a way to flip the script though, from sending out missionaries to convert people to a religion into setting up a system where people would come to you for help and they really listened to him. He built a 1,000-person auditorium. He gave lectures all the time. But the business starts becoming bigger. For a lot of customers, it starts becoming more about selling a healthy lifestyle than about God. That's the turning point, the food. Food that's cheap and easy to manufacture, sold with a health message, and it's easy to prepare. That's cornflakes. And that, of course, is where this story is heading. But stick with us because we're going to hear from our sponsors. The businesses built to last are usually the ones that work for the people using them, not just the people running them. Investing hasn't always been that. Brokerage fees sound like nothing until you do the maths on what they're costing you over time. So IG Trading did something about that. 50 years in global financial markets, they went and did something genuinely different. $0 commission on Aussie and international shares all the time. No caps, no tiers, no gotcha moment in the fine print, just a 0.7% FX fee for international trades. They tell you from the get-go. If you're done with the system quietly taking its cut, it's time to do something about it. Search IG Trading or download the IG Trading app from the App Store. Trading involves risk to your capital. IG Australia Pty Ltd AFSL 515106. Whether you're buying your first home, an investment property, or just looking to refinance, it pays to know your options. With Mortgage Choice, you get more of what matters. You get more choice with access to market-leading rates from over 35 lenders. They've got more brokers ready to help with over 1,000 across Australia. And they do more of the heavy lifting for you, crunching the numbers to save you time and find the right fit for your situation. And because they're part of realestate.com.au, they can give you more property market insights. So when it's time to find the right home loan, choose more with Mortgage Choice. Talk to your local Mortgage Choice broker today. Righto, here we go. Masturbation. People always think that this part of the story is exaggerated, but it's not at all. John Harvey Kellogg was very anti-masturbation, strictly no touchy rules. Kellogg genuinely believed that masturbation was one of the great threats to physical health, moral stability, fabric of society, the whole thing. Not only that, there are heaps of reports that he and his own wife never consummated their marriage. So there you go.
Oh.
Never.
Too busy writing.
He was very busy making sure everyone knew about the evils. I mean, he seemed to be particularly freaked out by sexually transmitted diseases and, quote, his revulsion turned into a lifetime edifice of strict sexual abstinence. Of course, you can't get an STD from masturbating, but he hates that too. In his 1888 book, Plain Facts for Old and Young, he describes it as self-pollution and talked about it like it was a full-scale national emergency, which sounds super full-on today. I mean, a lot of you have masturbated a couple of times since we started this story, but I know Adrian has. Yeah. Sorry, I had to. But in the 1880s, there was a real tradition connecting sexual activity and specifically what they called the loss of vital energy to physical depletion. Kellogg sat inside that tradition. He was just particularly committed to it and full on about it. All this does come straight from the church. Ellen White, the founder, warned against the following: tobacco, coffee, tea, alcohol, drugs and meat. We've talked about those ones, most of them. She also warned against tight dresses, corsets and wigs. And then, this is quite important, greasy or fried foods, spicy condiments and pickled foods. Quote from the book, such evils, she taught, led to the morally and physically destructive self-vice of masturbation. They led to it. So to recap, spicy, greasy and pickled foods all get you excited and then you masturbate, which is bad. Do you know what I mean? Like that is, so there's a direct line of sight from one end to the other on that.
Is this why the bathrooms at KFC are always locked?
Maybe.
Finger looking good.
People getting excited. Finger fuck. Swish. I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah.
You eat too many pickles and you know what's coming.
That's it. Straight to the bathroom.
Jeez. It's so weird. But fast forward, John Harvey Kellogg is now sermonizing on the evils of masturbation and he's prescribing, as a doctor, the blandest vegetarian meals that he could find at the San. And you may have already figured out where this is going because he decided he needed an even more bland food, something that wouldn't get people excited and would also help their stomach aches and help keep their bowel movements extremely regular. That bland food is cornflakes. That's why this story is so good. The origin of the world's most popular breakfast cereal is something designed for people who masturbate too much and poo too little. It's just sensational.
It's incredible.
I just didn't know it and I couldn't stop reading about it once I found that out. Like, how did people not know? Like, how are these businesses so able to divert the attention away from such a wild origin story?
It'd be great if they celebrated it.
It would be.
The marketing would be incredible.
I mean, I see why they don't.
Yes.
But like,
well,
I mean, just once, just be like, hey, guess what? Really weird backstory here.
Yeah.
And there are people who are going to nitpick this point. They'll say that cornflakes were never technically created and marketed to be a cure for masturbation. And you can argue that point. But one of the main and enduring teachings of John Harvey Kellogg was that masturbation should be avoided at all costs. And what he taught was, quote, to a person struggling to repress evil desires, simplicity in diet and avoidance of exciting and stimulating foods is of the greatest consequence. He and his brother created a bland food and sold it alongside those teachings. The facts are enough. Everything else is semantics. Cornflakes are forever and intrinsically linked to wanking. Such a fun fact. I mean, bring it up to someone next time you're eating a bowl of cornflakes. Surely.
Yeah. Might not be appropriate depending on the location.
Probably not, but you know, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I'm always thinking about the hotels where they always have like the big thing of cornflakes there next to the Weet Bix so you can go in. If you just see some stranger eating cornflakes and be like, good on you, mate. Good on you.
Hands where I can see them.
Yeah. What are you doing?
But cornflakes don't appear out of thin air. They've got to figure out the formula. So in the early 1880s, into the kitchen they go. John Harvey and his brother Will Keith Kellogg. The brief they gave themselves was simple. We want to make a food that is easy to digest, vegetarian, cheap to make, quick to prepare, and crucially, very bland. Breakfast becomes the focus, and this is a really important decision. Why breakfast? Because breakfast is daily, it's repeatable, and it's a pain in the ass for people. There is no quick and easy breakfast at this point, other than maybe a piece of fruit or something if you can get it. For a lot of American and English households, it was a hot meal that took, up to an hour to prepare. So the Kellogg's had a feeling this would be a welcome alternative, and they were absolutely right. But early experiments didn't really go that well. They made a double-baked bread that was so dense that it reportedly broke a patient's false teeth, which is not ideal. Then came something called granola, which is baked grain products that a patient can take home with them in a bag, and I suspect modern granola is similar and comes from that word. Will even set up a small stall beside the sanitarium dining room to sell these boxes, and by 1889, they were shifting several tons of it a week. So granola was good stuff. And finally comes the famous accident. A batch of cooked grain was left sitting out overnight. When they came to roll it the next morning, it didn't form into sheets. Instead, it crumbled into flakes. They toasted the flakes, and patients liked them. Then they refined the process using corn, and bang, you've got cornflakes. Patients at the Sands started having them with milk, maybe a bit of fruit, and they were doing their regular poos, which the staff at the facility all approved of. They weren't masturbating, so they said. So it's all going really well. They're selling them at the stall and also via mail order, 10-ounce bags for 15 cents. Word spreads and the business really starts to kick off. But before we get into the business side of things, I was kind of debating whether to put this in here, but I do think it's important. I mean, we've been having some fun with the masturbation stuff, but it's kind of no joke in a way. The book talks specifically about an escalating set of treatments for people who had trouble stopping. Level 1 was bandaging the hands. Level 2 was circumcision. It says the doctor performed this without anesthetic because, quote, the resultant pain had a salutary effect upon the mind. So all of a sudden we're talking about circumcision without anesthetic, Rob.
I feel very uncomfortable right now.
I feel weird for having made jokes now. It's all pretty dark, and it gets worse, if you can believe it. If they still did the act, the next level above that was silver sutures or wires passed through the foreskin to prevent erections.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
You're just starting to shift uncomfortably all of a sudden. And of course, this isn't just for boys. For girls, it's also a staged system of prevention and intervention. The doctor recommends cool baths, cool enemas, more enemas, application of, and then the level above that is application of irritants, including carbolic acid to the sexual organs.
Oh my God, just eat the cornflakes.
That's right. I'll just stop. I think we have to just stop there. I mean, all of a sudden we're talking about it's torture.
It is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the dark, dark part of the story. But you're right. The surface level is the breakfast cereal. And that's the thing that became internationally famous quite quickly. And now, again, you can understand perhaps why the Kellogg's company today isn't that keen to throw a spotlight back on what was going on in those days at the Sand, where, at the same time as they were creating this great cereal, they were also doing some extremely unnecessary surgeries without anesthetic.
Yeah, again, this is the dark part of science in that era.
Extremely dark. But, of course, the cereal became famous. In fact, you might successfully argue that it is the most successful, intentionally bland food ever made. 128 billion bowls of cornflakes are now eaten every year. And the three main reasons for its popularity are quite similar to what they were then. It was cheap. It took no time or energy to prepare at home. And it was health, and it was marketed as healthy. That's the one that later changed. But because it caught on so well, there were lots of competitors popping up too. Between 1888 and 1905, 101 cereal companies were started in Battle Creek, Michigan alone.
Would you say at this time that Battle Creek was called Cereal Valley?
I reckon you would.
Yeah.
I like it. The cereal capital of the world, perhaps.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, and obviously Kellogg's had to become the cereal killers.
That's it.
It's rough. That's a rough one.
Let's stop.
That's bad.
Let's leave. I'm going.
Time to wrap.
Yeah.
Now, there's one more main character that you do need to know about. It's a guy named C.W. Post who arrived in Battle Creek at the sanitarium in 1891 as a patient. He stayed there for 9 months and he left completely unimpressed with some of Kellogg's methods, but he saw the commercial potential for the food. So Charles Post went off and founded his own cereal company. He was one of the 101. Post Grape Nuts, Post Raisin Bran, Post Toasties. They were all his. He also made wild health claims about his food. At one point, he suggested that grape nuts could cure appendicitis and malaria, which, for the record, it cannot.
No.
There's none of that.
As much as you try.
You can't pour a bowl of cure for that. So Kellogg's own patient became his biggest rival. And Will Keith, was fuming about this. John didn't really seem to care about it as much, though. He didn't like the copying, but his view was that even though the food was being sold, the main business was the SAN. And Will didn't see it that way. He just saw someone stealing their main business, which is exactly what started happening, because in 1906, C.W. Post directly copied the Kellogg's recipe and started selling it as Post Toasties, and he made millions. Now, that rivalry didn't really last all that long, because remember that Charlie Post was a patient at the SAN. He was there because he had chronic stomach pain and he never managed to make it go away. And in 1914, he took his own life, which is really sad. But the Kellogg's continued talking shit about him for years. Like, they were very unsentimental about the whole thing. And without a common enemy, Will and John turn on each other, Rob.
Seems to be a bit of a theme of brothers in business not getting along on this show.
It is a bit. Maybe there's a whole avenue of that, of the biggest brotherly fallouts in business history. This would be up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the main split between them came because Will decided that the cereal had to taste good.
Fair.
That's where they broke off.
Yeah.
Now, this is where the whole story turns into just pure drama, because John was still giving lectures and harping on about the health evils and the white supremacy of it all, which we haven't talked about. We'll get to that in a minute. Will, his brother, he was thinking about money. He wanted to scale the breakfast cereal business well beyond the SAN. And in 1901, Will quit the SAN to focus on the food business, of which he was a 25% owner. And he made some key changes. First, he added sugar and salt. John was completely furious about that. In fact, Will's son later recalled that John had, quote, a fit and, quote, got after my father, which I imagine to mean he chased him around the room, which is kind of a funny image. But,
yeah.
You know. Yeah, exactly. Like in the way that brothers do, perhaps when they're 5 or 6, but they're doing it, you know,
in their 50s.
As titans of industry now.
Yeah.
Will also improved the packaging, he invested heavily in advertising, and he aimed the product squarely at everyday households, not just patients in a health retreat or people who wanted to improve their health. John became even more furious because John thought that all of this, particularly the sugar, betrayed the entire mission. I mean, he saw cornflakes as a medical tool, but the horse was already bolting. Will built a huge factory in Battle Creek, and in 1908, he and his son, John Leonard, another John.
Not John Lennon.
No, John Leonard.
Oh, John Leonard. Okay.
Not John, imagine.
And then he started the Beatles.
And then John
what a crazy
Lennon
story.
Was in there. Yeah, John Lennon was having a real crack at cornflakes back in the day. No, I imagine John Lennon quite liked jorking it. Is that a weird thing to say?
No,
probably is.
Him and Yoko Ono probably got up some interesting
that's why.
stuff.
I mean, you know, he was part of the sexual revolution. He's not going to be like, nah, don't touch it.
Yeah, he's pro-sugar in his cereal, I reckon, John Lennon.
There's a spectrum of Johns in the world.
Yeah.
From very anti to very pro.
Yeah.
And we're finding them both here. So Will apparently told his son, John Leonard, quote, we can now turn out 4,200 cases a day, and that is all the business I ever want. 1 year later, he was shipping 120,000 cases of cornflakes a day. So it turns out he wanted and achieved more. And the growth did not stop for many, many years, particularly because Will understood the importance of advertising. Fast forward to the 1950s, not long after Will stepped down as boss, and Kellogg's was making food in the US, Canada, Australia, South Africa, England, Mexico, Ireland, Sweden, and Holland. They had a constant reserve of 1.5 million bushels of grain. And the daily output at the Battle Creek factory alone was up to 6 million boxes of cereal a day. An absolutely incredible growth story. But when Will broke away, all that was in the distance. First, he had to wrestle his own surname off John Harvey. So they went to war. The court action started in 1910 with Will seeking an injunction against John from using the Kellogg name when selling food, and specifically that he could still use it at the SAN as a doctor and when selling medical products. And the reason was simple. Will had the Kellogg's Toasted Cornflake Company and John had the Kellogg's Food Company of Battle Creek. It was just confusing. I mean, shops had the food next to each other and nobody knew which version they were buying, the one that tasted good or the one that stopped you from wanking.
I keep buying the wrong one.
I know. Whoops. I'm not healthy and I'm going to town on myself.
Yep.
Or this one doesn't taste good, but I have no sexual appetite.
There you go.
Know what I mean? So the case came down to who was the kind of the real Kellogg, and it took more than 10 years to figure that out. But in 1921, Will was successful. The Supreme Court held that Will owned the exclusive rights to trade under the name Kellogg when it comes to food. And from that point on, they were fully split, and they both head in truly separate directions. As mentioned, Will was an amazing businessman. I mean, even through the Great Depression, he managed profits of $6 million a year. Again, I mean, he was selling something cheap and easy, which is helpful in that kind of economy. But by the time Will retired in 1939 at the age of 79, his business controlled more than 40% of the ready-to-eat cereal market in the US and 50% overseas, which kind of goes to show how much of an American story this really is. Nobody else seemed to really be doing cereal to this sort of scale at the time.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it was definitely an American thing, and specifically it was really a Michigan thing. Often gets overlooked.
Cereal Valley, yeah.
Cereal Valley. He handed the company over to a series of former bankers and marketing people when he did step down, who grew the business, obviously. Brought in great advertising plans, including Cornelius the cockerel. Can we get a shake? Yes. And of course, the signature, W.K. Kellogg, which appeared on all the boxes. After all, he spent 10 years making sure that he could have that name. The company ended up with 25 distinct breakfast cereals. Almost all of them are sugary. And the destination, I mean, it would make John roll in his grave because get this. In 2023, Kellogg's was split into Kellanova and W.K. Kellogg Co. Kellanova was bought by Mars for $36 billion and W.K. Kellogg was bought by Ferrero for $3.1 billion. So in the end, this beacon of health food ended up in the hands of two international chocolate companies.
Ironic.
It is. And geez, if you were John Harvey, you'd be fuming.
He would be very upset.
It only took 100 years to get there, but it's a funny destination. As for John, he stayed at the SAN. He performed surgeries until he was 84. By all accounts, he was actually quite good. The book goes into specifics saying that he actually didn't lose a lot of patients, despite the fact that, you know, antiseptics were pretty early on. They weren't wearing face masks, all this sort of stuff. He was apparently quite a good surgeon. But there is something else worth flagging before we kind of land the plane on this. John got really into eugenics and white supremacy. In fact, right up until he died during World War II, he was one of America's most vocal supporters of eugenics. And what that was basically a system of thinking which is presented as medical or scientific, where most, if not all, of a society's problems are laid at the feet of anyone other than God-abiding white Anglo-Saxon people. You know, that's basically the whole thing. Anything you can find that's wrong with the society is the fault of them, not us.
Yeah.
It's kind of not really a tangent. I mean, it's all sort of boiled in the same pot as that virtue stuff that we were talking about before. But it is part of the reason that John Kellogg is not really talked about much in medical America these days as a trailblazer. I mean, he was right about some stuff like gut health and the issues with smoking and drinking. He was early on that. He was wrong about some of the weird stuff like yogurt enemas and masturbation, and he was dangerously wrong about stuff like race controls and breeding and unnecessary genital surgeries, Rob. So there's a spectrum of stuff going on with that guy.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is just science of the era.
Yeah.
They're kind of throwing a lot at the board and seeing what sticks.
I suppose you can just cast a net over this whole era and say there was some pretty weird ideas coming out, and you have to be quite selective in a way about sort of, I don't know.
Because this is like the era of like phrenology where they thought that the size of your head determined all these things about you, which just couldn't be more wrong.
Totally. I mean, a lot of it is absolute quackery, but, you know, he was one of the first people who said, don't smoke.
Yeah.
Bad for you.
Yeah.
That's not a bad call.
And up until like the 60s, like doctors were advertising that it was good for you.
Totally. He was very early on that. And he was a medical doctor by the standards of the day. As usual, I mean, this kind of stuff couldn't be further from the identity of the brands we associate with Kellogg's these days. I'm finding out that a lot of these companies have very strange and dark backstories, but they just get buried, of course. Okay, let's pull all this together. Cornflakes came from a doctor in Michigan who wanted people to stop masturbating. And that's the funny part of the story. Also the yogurt enemas. But the reason it matters, and the reason that it's more and bigger than a weird historical footnote, is what it actually created. Because the Kellogg's story tells us two really interesting chapters of mass food marketing. The first chapter is health. The brothers turned health into a commercial product. Before the SAN, health was mostly a private matter. I mean, it's something you either had or you didn't have. Together, they built a business, a serious, growing, profitable business around the idea that mass-produced food could improve your health if you bought it and ate it. And that seed, I mean, that grew into a truly massive part of the economy that we still live in. Think of all the food marketing that is now built around health. I'd argue heaps of it, maybe even most of it. Detox tea, protein powder, vitamins, clean eating programs, probiotic yogurts that you eat, to be clear. So many of them can draw their ancestry back to John Kellogg in one way or another. I mean, nobody seems to put it up there. Nobody seems to put the yogurt up their arse anymore, but that's neither here nor there. And the second chapter is sugar. By betraying the healthy starting point, the real growth was available to Will Kellogg, not John. Will industrialized it. He added the sugar, flavor, and advertising. He put it in boxes and he sold it around the entire world. It's kind of a bait and switch. The idea of breakfast cereals was originally that they were healthy and easy and they were a great way to start the day. And over time, that company made them an unhealthy, easy way to start the day. Now, is that bad? It's not great. But that's business. People can choose to buy whatever they want. And the change happened slowly enough. But it's worth understanding how old that pitch is and how much it's changed. We're still eating their business model every single morning. 350 million bowls of it. But now it's about selling the cereal rather than selling any kind of religious health message. Bound to happen over time. People love masturbating, after all.
They do. They do.
Rob, what do you reckon? Final thoughts?
I've got a lot.
A lot.
It would have been really funny if Will, just like, as well as leaning into sugar, also led into the masturbation, but on the other side, being hey, have this sugary cereal, it'll make it better for you. That would have been pretty funny. A quick shout out to everyone who's now going to have really awkward moments at the family breakfast table having post-listen to this.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It's going to make for an interesting conversation.
I mean, that's the thing. It's formed part of the daily routine of so many people. And not knowing the origin, I think, makes it weird.
Yeah. And for the other people whose daily routine involves fornication, a shout out to you as well. Maybe have more cornflakes.
I was talking to someone about this the other day who said it's ironic because breakfast cereal is now synonymous with being like a layabout, like a stoner who doesn't really have much motivation to do anything. And he's probably sitting around doing a bit of that.
Yeah.
So, because it's so easy.
It is easy. It's quick. You get it done. Fast-paced society, quick bowl of cereal, out the door.
But I do think it's interesting, how far these businesses and business models go over the course of 170, 200 years. I mean, you start in one place and one foot in front of the other, you end up in a completely different place where they're owned by, chocolate companies, and they are not about health at all. But
no,
it's just about, the maneuverability of that kind of first message, the people who drop off and the people who succeed with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's that sort of turning point of mass industrialization where we go from, hey, come to us, enjoy this thing, it's really good, to let's get this thing everywhere. And then
that's
it all changes.
I think that's a really important point, is that it was kind of this era, and it started of the industrialist in food, the people who wanted one of their products in every single pantry in the country. Heinz ketchup is another great example. The idea that this is going to be appropriate for every single person. And Kellogg's was right smack bang in the middle of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fascinating story, but we do have to talk about the two truths and a lie, the reveal. Where do we go? Where do we land? Fact or lie number one, John Harvey Kellogg reportedly spent his wedding night writing a book about the dangers of sex. True, Rob.
Oh, John.
True.
You loser.
His marriage to Ella Eaton was, by most accounts, lifelong and celibate. They did foster 42 children. Hats off.
That's
to
nice
that.
of them. Well done.
0 biological children, of course.
Yep.
But he did reportedly spend his honeymoon and wedding night writing this health text. I mean, you could argue it was an essay rather than a book, but it's there. That's true.
Poor Ella.
Maybe she wasn't into it either.
That's fair enough. Each to their own.
Number two, John Harvey Kellogg believed a healthy human should produce 4 to 5 odorless bowel movements per day. Also true. Pretty keen on the regularity and consistency and the smell of the poo. He was very interested in that. Fair enough. I mean, I guess he was a medical doctor after all, but he based a lot of this on the gorillas that he saw at the zoo, which feels less scientific.
Does this mean he was going around smelling gorilla shit?
Well, maybe. Remember that the San had this big laboratory where they were, identifying and getting a really good look at all the bodily fluids and poos.
And he's just gone, nah.
It's too smelly.
Oop.
I mean, I didn't technically, in that story, I didn't actually say that he wanted them to be odorless, but there are multiple points in the book where that is made clear. He wanted them not to be too smelly. And so, eat lots of vegetarian and bland foods, and you'll be right.
I mean, look,
that one's true.
I mean, it's a fair thing. If you've ever visited a public toilet, you probably wish that, John Harvey Kellogg was right.
Where's John Harvey Kellogg when you
Where is he when I need him? I'm at Flinders Street Station.
Plus, he's having 15 quarts of water pounded into him every morning. It's going to be hard to have any kind of normal poo after that.
Yeah.
It's gross. Move on. Number 3, John Harvey Kellogg died in poverty, having lost the rights to the Kellogg name in court. That's the lie. He did lose the commercial war. He lost the court case and Will got to keep the surname printed on food, but John Harvey Kellogg kept on working until he was basically at the end of his life. He died in 1943 at the age of 91. But he wasn't poor. He wasn't destitute in any way. Still no sugar, still no meat, entirely convinced about everything he believed. But the only thing he was he was not the more famous Kellogg at the end of his life.
He lived to 91. That's a pretty good knock.
You can't argue
for that era.
That.
Well done.
Yeah, well, he was a very healthy man.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything silly ever.
No.
That was kind of his thing. It's Kellogg's. Probably the strangest origin story I can think of for a company everyone in the world is familiar with. Next episode, we're going to talk about one of the biggest and most influential inventions of the 20th century, why it was deliberately ignored, and what the consequences of that were for all of us. Thanks for listening. Rob, thanks, mate.
Enjoy your cereal, everyone.
W.K. Kellogg spent years doing things the way they'd always been done until he decided to back himself and change breakfast forever. And most investors are still doing things the way they've always been done, paying commission on every trade, assuming that's just how it works. It isn't. IG Trading offers $0 commission on Australian and international shares. No caps, no tiers, just a 0.7% FX fee on international trades upfront from the start. Kellogg didn't wait for someone else to change the game. You don't have to either. Search IG Trading or download the IG Trading app from the App Store. Trading involves risk to your capital. IG Australia Pty Ltd AFSL 515106. Would you like your own personal home loan expert in your corner? Mortgage Choice can help. Mortgage Choice brokers have been helping Aussies find the right home loan for over 30 years. They've seen a few interest rate cycles, put it that way. And they give you more choice by comparing options from over 35 lenders. They'll do all the heavy lifting, comparing lenders, crunching the numbers, and finding the right fit for your situation. Get more expertise on your side. Choose more with Mortgage Choice. Talk to your local Mortgage Choice broker today.